So we're in business.
Cool.
So man, tell me a little bit about you and your background and when you got started. It sounded like you were working for Vivax for a little bit and then branched out on your own or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, I have my background. I started with the Vivax. I was doing canvassing for them, and then I became a canvassing manager over there. So that's kind of my background, what I come from. So yeah, I just used to kind of beat in the streets and was kind of like, hey, why am I doing this for somebody else when I can do it for myself and reap the full benefits of it? I stumbled across you online a couple of years ago, and I was kind of looking into it and kind of hey, is this for me? Is it not? And then all the ducks have kind of lined up in a row, and I kind of just kind of jumped in and went for it. So
Awesome, man. So when did you get started on your own?
this would be my third month. So
Okay, so pretty new into it. Very nice.
yeah, really new. I just did my first job, just produced my first job last week. So
Oh, nice, dude. How did it go?
man, it went pretty good. Yeah, I was happy with it. I definitely have some questions and stuff, and it's definitely the first rodeo is a little intense, but yeah, the results are good. The customer's happy, so all's good. So
Yeah, I saw your email to me about like feedback on the course and making that better. It's just you had some questions about how do we make sure we deliver a good quality job and all that
yeah,
stuff. The thing
it's
that's
just
yeah, go ahead.
no. I was just gonna say, yeah, definitely. It's just there's a lot of stuff you don't really think about until you're kind of in the water, and just yeah, I definitely came across some different concerns and so forth. Making sure the subs are doing the right process and making sure everything's going smoothly.
Yeah, it's yeah, cool. Well, we'll dive into that a little bit. So when did you decide you wanted to start a business and how'd you come across my stuff?
I found you online. I've been looking into it for a while. I came across it and I was kind of contemplating it. And I decided, I finally moved over to sales, and I decided at that point, like, hey, I know what I'm doing for the most part. I need to go ahead and jump into this and fully do it because, I knew that's what I wanted to do. It was just
Yeah.
kind of all the stars lining up to where it's like, I'm confident now to jump in the water. So,
Awesome, man. How has it been helpful having the course to help you along here?
yeah, man, it's been extremely helpful. It's basically, giving me the confidence to do this. Without the course, I don't think I would have even came across the thought to even do it for myself, honestly. So it's kind of birthed the idea in me that, hey, I can do this for my own.
Nice, man. And so you started 3 months ago. You just produced your first job. So what's happened over the last 3 months, and what do you see for like the next 3 months?
Well, I mean, basically what's happened, I just went out there and I just started knocking and started, talking to people, getting estimates, going out there and kind of fumbling through, figuring out what I'm doing. I've probably done, 40 estimates or so now. I sold a little bit for another company, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with the results as far as, I'm closing a lot of deals. I need to work on, bringing my margins up. I definitely was kind of messing up and underbidding jobs. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on stuff like that, bringing my margin up, becoming more profitable, and yeah, so that's kind of what I'm working on now. So,
How much have you booked on 40 estimates?
I've booked 12 jobs.
Okay, 12 for 40, 30%.
Yeah,
Not bad.
yeah, yeah.
What's the total sales on that?
The total sales is, I believe we are around 58,000, something in that range.
Oh, so you got a fat job size.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the exact number. It's on my phone. I'm kind of scared to X out of here, but it's in that range. So
Nice, dude. Oh, that's exciting. So you just produced your first job. Is there a reason you have 58K booked and just produced your first one? Is it just because of the weather, or is it that's how you scheduled them? Why did it work out that way?
yeah, I mean, a little bit of both, the weather and just having everything lined up to where I was confident and the customer was ready to go at the same time. So some of the customers, I'm waiting on HOA, stuff like that. I'm doing a lot of work in Highlands Ranch, and they have a notorious HOA out there. So
Yes, they do, man. That's kind of
yeah,
it's a love-hate, man, because obviously those people are
yeah,
houses like crazy, but you got to deal with the HOAs constantly. So
yeah.
cool. All right, awesome, man. So I'll let you pick my brain.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, I've the main thing for me, I've had a lot of questions about production, workers' comp. That to me, I still, I've put a lot of time in to try to figure that out. I've had a lot of different opinions. People telling me, hey, you have to have it. People telling me something about a waiver. I've heard people,
Yeah.
telling me that, you could do it on your subs. You can't put a policy on your subcontractors. So I'm basically just confused as all can be in that subject area.
Yeah. So it's different in every state, which is why I don't go into a lot in the course about it. I'm going to make some additions to the course about protection, insurance, workers' comp, licensing, so people can know at least what to look for. But it is going to be a little different state to state. Fortunately, in Colorado, I know how it works, so I can answer you specifically. And actually, I think I believe in a lot of states it's done this way. The way they calculate rates and stuff is going to be a little different. But fundamentally, with workers' comp, they just want to make sure they get paid on every dollar. They're like the mob. They just want to get paid on every dollar, right? So what that means is you need to have a policy. First, just you need a policy. And when I'm setting up my policy if I'm using employees, then every dollar I pay my employees, I pay some amount to workers' comp. That's my labor. So I'm going to pay some percentage. So it's probably going to be 8 to 9% of every dollar paid to labor goes to workers' comp. So if I'm running employees and I pay my employees $100,000 this year, I'm going to pay $8,000 or $9,000 to workers' comp. So my employees, if I am using an employee model, my employees should be about 35% of the total, somewhere in that range, and 30 to 35% of my total revenue. And then 8% of that. So we're talking like a couple percent of total revenue budgeted for workers' comp. Now, if I'm using a subcontracting model, then I'm going to, if they have workers' comp, if I've got a sub and he has his own workers' comp policy, I'm not going to have to pay any workers' comp on any of his labor. If he doesn't have a workers' comp policy, then the workers' comp company is going to say, all right, well, who do you work for? We're going to go get paid from them. That happens to be you and I, right? So when I set up my policy with workers' comp, I'm going to assume that I will pay the workers' comp for every single sub that's under me. I'm going to assume the worst. Right? So and now you don't want to do that. You want to try to get subs to get their own workers' comp, because if one of them gets injured and they don't have workers' comp, it rolls up to you and then your rates go up. Right? If you start getting claims, your rate could go from 9% of labor to 14. And that goes from 2% of revenue to 3. $1 million company, we're talking about 10 grand. Right? That adds up. So you want them to try to have workers' comp. So we incentivize them. We pay them more money if they have their own policy. But I'm going to assume the worst, and I'm going to pay into my policy, because the way workers' comp works is you say, this is how much labor I'm going to have this year. And they say, okay, this is going to be how much that's going to cost. And then I pay in every month. And then at the end of the year, we do the audit. And they find out how much labor did I actually have that I got to pay for, and I get money back. So this year I got $20,000 back.
So basically you just assume you're going to pay it, and you put the money to put it aside to pay it, and then it comes back to you if they have their own policy.
Yes. And so the way they calculate it in Colorado, or the way they have calculated it, so you always want to check current rules and stuff, but how they've always calculated it is, I always write the check to the subcontractor's business and never their name. The reason for that is because when the workers' comp audit comes through, if I write a check to John, they assume, in our model, they're buying the materials. So they're going to assume that 33% of that check went to materials and 66% went to John, which is labor. If I write it to John's Painting LLC, they're going to assume 33% to materials, 33% to profit, 33% labor. So on $1 million in business, $500,000 is to my subs, right? If I write those checks to John, they're going to assume about 300 and, whatever that is, 330,000 or something like that is, what's the number? I don't even know the number. I can't do math right now, but they're going to assume roughly 300 grand is, why is this is going to bug the shit out of me? Whatever. I can't do math on camera. So they're going to assume 300 grand-ish is labor, and then 8%, let's just say 10% for easy math, I'd owe 30 grand. But it's going to be half that amount if it's John's Painting LLC, and so I would own 15 grand instead of 30. So you want to make sure number one, you want to make sure all of your subcontractors, you're writing checks to their business name, not their personal name. The second thing you want to do is you want to make sure as many subs as you can have their own policies. And the best way to do that is to incentivize them to have their own policies. And then you can deal with like rejection waivers and all that stuff. That's really only for the owner of a business. Employees can't reject workers' comp, to my knowledge. So we don't mess with that. We just make sure we're fully covered. I'm not trying to avoid paying workers' comp. I'm making sure that I'm fully covered.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have the same mindset on it. I mean, why do something and, risk losing everything or something? It's not worth it in the long run. I'm just kind of ignorant right now, so I'm trying to figure it out. But I believe after this conversation, I need to go get a policy and then just start putting that money aside. I just, how the whole system works has just been kind of blurry to me. But I have been paying sub to their company name, and then I need to put, a percentage of that aside for the workers' comp.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Cool.
And you don't have to put it aside, because when you set up the policy, they're going to say it's going to cost you 20 grand this year, and you set up a payment plan. So it's just going to pull 2 grand out of your account every month. So it's like an automatic deduction. Then you get money back later.
Gotcha, man. Just it makes sense now. You hit it right there. Now it makes sense. Cool. It's kind of like taxes. You set it aside, then it comes back later. So
yes,
cool. Other than that, as far as I think I'm pretty good as far as finding the jobs. I'm trying to work a little lead services now too, because knocking doors can get kind of gruesome. It's if you're doing it yourself, it gets old. But I think it's very efficient because you can kind of target the neighborhood you want to be in.
Yeah.
And I'm like I said, I'm targeting that specific area because the houses are just perfect. They're cookie cutter, nice houses.
Yeah.
It's a great market to be in besides the HOA. But yeah, as far as when you're doing, prep work, when you're bidding a job, is in Denver. I mean, I know you're kind of familiar with the Denver area. Is that $20 rate applicable here?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Because I feel like I might be getting, paying my subs too much, or kind of putting too much aside for my subcontractors. So that because
part of this comes with experience. See, the biggest issue that comes with people overpaying subcontractors is it's a bluffing game and you're getting out bluffed.
Yeah.
It's poker and you're the fish at the table.
Okay. Yeah.
Like when they say I need more money, you glaze over and don't know what to say. See, when they tell me they need more money, I say, oh, sorry, I don't negotiate. It's okay. I'll get this job for somebody else. I'll call you next week if I have another one. And they say, oh no, never mind. I'll do it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to just kind of naturally learn how to gauge that. So that's part of it. But the other part of it is, you might need to change some pricing. So you do need to, for example, we are always fine tuning our pricing. We've been doing it for 10 years, fine tuning our pricing. We start to see like, this job, we keep having subs ask for more money on these jobs that have these wood windows and they are taking longer. And so we are get a little higher, and we have slowly raised our prices over time with, when we run into this or that or this or that. So it's kind of a balance between both. You need to make sure you're not getting bluffed, but you also need to make sure you're pricing appropriately, because if you're pricing too low and then you're like holding a hard line at 50%, then you're going to get lower quality subs and deliver lower quality work.
That's the fear, man. That's, I'm trying to build, a reputation doing quality work, and I don't want to have, a sub that takes the job. They don't really want the job and they're just trying to get through. So they're cutting corners, and next thing you know, I have, 20 customers and the paint's falling off their house in a couple of months or something.
Well, dude, and that's what's good. That's what's good about the Painting Business Pro group. Post some pictures. If you're constantly paying sub 60%, post some pictures in the group, and people will tell you if you're high or low.
Okay. Yeah, the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I just tried to create my business Facebook and they kind of froze my account or whatever. So I'm gonna try.
Join with your personal, man. Just join with your personal.
Okay, sounds good.
Join with your personal. Perfect. That'll be better anyways. That way it'll show up in your feed, because there's a lot of other good information that people are exchanging in that group, and you want that to be popping up on your feed, because you're going to learn. It might save you, one post from someone else might save you $1,000.
Yeah,
It
no,
might save you
definitely.
$5,000. You know,
Perfect.
someone's like, holy shit, I just did this cabinet job and I got absolutely demolished. Make sure you do this. Or someone's like, hey, you know, there's all kinds of useful posts in there. So you want to use that. And then, you know, so here's the challenge people have. And this is why I'm like, dude, people who aren't investing in this are in trouble because they're kind of flying blind. If you could be pricing right and subs could be out negotiating you, or you could be low, but customers are telling you you're high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would happen if your price is actually low, and that's why you're paying sub 60%, but customers are telling you your price is high. It's because your sales process sucks.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you get these mixed, and then you could have subs saying your prices are too low, but you're actually right on the money.
Mm-hmm.
And then but you don't know that. So then you raise prices and then customers tell you you're too high and you actually are.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I'm like, dude, you've got to have some system to go off of that isn't based on what other people tell you, because subs are always going to tell you your price is too low. Customers are always going to tell you your price is too high. You need to be the rock that actually holds the line. And so a couple ways you can do that. Number one is use the Facebook group for that, because we can tell you if your prices are online or not. The second thing is with subs, what you want to do is you just want to always be in control of the negotiation. So if a subcontractor says, I need more money, then go to another one.
Okay.
And if they say they need more money, then go to a third one. And if they say they need more money, you're like, okay, I think this is actually like, I bluffed too, and they held their line.
Yeah.
So the
I think if they're
third
giving,
guy, so if you say to the first guy, hey man, I can pay you $1,500 for this house. And he's like, dude, I need 17. Second guy, you say, I need 50, you know, I'll pay you 1,500. They say 17. Then you go to the third guy and you say, I'll pay you 17. So it's still always your call. You never want to create a relationship with a contractor where you're open to negotiation, because you'll start negotiating every single job, which creates massive inefficiencies. And it's like, they'll start asking for more and more, and you start getting yourself in a bind. I need to create a working relationship with my subcontractors where they know my price is good. They know I'm not going to negotiate. I'm going to give them a job. They're going to make money. Sometimes I'll be a little high and they'll make extra. Sometimes we'll be a little low and they'll make a little less. But we've got this working relationship. I need to go through that bluffing stage to get on the same page with my subs, and to kind of keep them in check to know, are they just asking for more money, or do I actually need to bid this more because nobody will do it for that price?
Yeah.
Now, the other thing to kind of keep in mind here is, so I've never in 14 years seen a subcontractor pace out a house.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they know what the price should be? I paced the house. I measured every window. I've got the square footage. I've got the number of windows, the number of doors, the linear feet of fascia, eaves. I looked at the prep. I usually, when a sub asks for more money, they look at the front of the house and they say, I need more money.
Yeah, true that.
Now look, they cannot be as accurate as me. So I'll actually rebid the house and be like, why do you need more money? And they've got to sell me on it. And if I start finding out that subs keep asking for more money when I have different colored eaves, it's always because they always say it's because of those different colored eaves, man. I might, if I hear that enough times, I'll change my bid for different colored eaves.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, if
So
you're
it's a
hearing it 3
process.
times in a row or something.
So it's a process, and you can't just be like, oh, you need more money? Okay, like, here you go. So does that give you a little idea of how you got to control the dynamic of all of this?
Yeah, it does. I mean, you have to not be afraid to walk away from the table, so to speak, and kind of go somewhere else. You have to have, multiple different subs you can go to.
Yeah.
Because if one's telling, and then you have to build your network, I guess, is kind of what I'm taking out of it. You have to have a bigger network to where you have those quality subs you can take it to.
Yes.
And so you're not just relying on one or two in the beginning. You have to have, and I've been trying to do that. I've been trying to find a lot of guys that have their own workers' comp and that kind of stuff as well. So
yeah, and part of it too, and like why I can really have that leverage is because I know I'm the best guy to work for. I got great prices. I got endless work. I pay people on time. I treat people well. I always have them set up to win. My customers are good. My jobs are ready. Like, so when a contractor does a bad job for us, which happens from time to time.
Yeah.
By the way, employees do bad jobs from time to time. By the way, sole proprietors do bad jobs from time to time. So that's, you know, people are like, oh, it's how do you find good quality subs? I'm like, how do you find good quality people? They're just a different designation, but
different title. Yeah.
It's people. So, you know, if someone does a bad job for me, we say, you did a bad job. We're not giving you any more jobs. And then they can go and, you know, we had a subcontractor who was doing like 15K a week for us, and they did a couple of bad jobs. So we cut them off. Now they're going to have to go and try to find 15K a week to keep their guys busy. And you know what's going to happen? They aren't going to, because there's very few companies that even exist that can deliver 15K of work a week. So now they're going to be working for multiple companies, which is a pain in the ass. And most likely they're going to work for companies that are paying out less than us, aren't paying out on time, and don't have consistent work. It's going to be such a pain in the ass that when we call them back in a month and say, hey, we want to give you another shot, but if you ever screw up quality again, we'll cut you off again. And they won't do it up next time, because it's easier to do good quality for me than to try to rush to make more money and get stuck in the situation they got stuck in last time.
Okay. And Eric, I mean, what would you say to recommend, I mean, for, you know, a new project manager, you know, walking the site, you know, watching these guys, you know, what should we look for if we're visiting the job, or what kind of signs should we look for if someone's doing something, you know, that's kind of compromising quality? What, you know, is there anything particular, you know, anywhere like subs try to cut corners or anything like that?
It's just obvious stuff. Like, look, you can't, that's why, you know, I just had a guy ripping on me on my YouTube channel today about, you know, how you're sending people who don't know what the hell they're doing out to job sites and you're ruining the industry. I'm like, no, I'm not, dude. I'm adding more competition to raise the game. That's what's actually happening here, because there is no getting around bad quality. You don't need to worry about that, because it's going to hit you across the face if someone's doing bad quality. You know how we knew that sub was doing bad quality? We had a customer screaming at us.
Yeah.
Now, if I walk onto a job site and I catch the bad quality, I'm going to address it. But sometimes if you don't, trust me, your customers will. They're paying thousands of dollars. They're going to look at their house. If they think the prep wasn't done, you're going to hear about it. If there's sloppy paint around, you're going to hear about it. If you got paint on the roof, you're going to hear about it. If I walk up to a job site and it's messier than all get out, and the prep looks like crap and it's sloppy and like, it's just the obvious stuff. See, delivering a paint job is quite easy. You do the prep right. Prep not done right sticks out like a sore thumb. If you've ever seen a crack not get caulked and then get sprayed over, it shines. It's so clear. Yeah. If you see a peeling wood window that wasn't prepped, it is so apparent. So poorly done prep stands out like a sore thumb. Cleanliness, paint where it's not supposed to be, shows up like a sore thumb. Bad lines or spotty coverage also shows up. Look, how you deliver a good paint job is you prep properly. That's easy to tell. You have good clean lines and good coverage with the materials you agreed on.
Yeah.
So it's really quite easy to know if someone's delivering a quality job. The only other thing is timeline. You know, are they showing up on time? Are they leaving early? Are they skipping days? Any of that crap, you know, provides a bad experience, even if they're delivering a quality job.
Yeah, no, and I mean, that's what I've been kind of stressing too, is like, you know, it's not just the paint job, is the experience. I mean, that's really what we provide. I mean, there's tons of people that can provide a paint job, but, you know, it's having the people show up on time, having the people not skip days and that kind of stuff that I think is really important, because in the end, you know, that's going to stick out just as much as the work. I mean, they're going to forget about the work before they're going to forget about the experience. That's at least what I think. And
just to be clear too, with subcontracting, there are limitations on like what makes a subcontractor or a subcontractor versus an employee, and you just want to make sure to walk that line. So I'm just more saying this to cover my own ass, but you can't tell them when to work, and you can't train them, can't manage them and that kind of thing. But I can have an agreement with them that they've signed that says this is our working agreement, and they stick to that agreement. And I don't tell them when to show up and when to work. I just ask that they let me know so I can let the customer know. Because if I can't tell the customer, then the customer gets upset, and then it makes the job harder. So it's like a partnership we're working on together.
Yeah.
To deliver for this customer, because that's how we both make the most money. So it really is about establishing a good working relationship with people. And the best way to do that is to make sure you're providing something really worthwhile to them.
Yeah. That's like steady jobs and, you know, a fair price is what I would
Good
think.
price, steady jobs, organized.
Yeah.
Pay them quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I mean, you have to provide what's important to them or else it's, you know, they don't really care, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, you know, that's kind of, I guess, where I'm at is, you know, just the what ifs with production, you know, just trying to figure out that whole process. But I mean, it's definitely fun, challenging. And, you know, I feel like it's definitely, you know, the experience because yeah, you can't sit there and be like, hey, you have to be here at 7:30. You have to, you know, lunch at 12. You can't do that kind of stuff. So you're kind of at the mercy in the way of your subcontractor when you're trying to provide that experience. So
Yeah.
just kind of like walking the middle line to provide that experience without, you know, being like, you know, you have to be here now. This is that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
so yeah, I mean that's pretty much, you know, where I'm at. I'm just what any last advice you would give me about, you know what to look out for, you know, advice about production. I mean, anything else?
Yeah. Two things. One, follow the course to a T because it works. The people who are doing the best are pretty much following the advice the best. You know, so just keep going back to that. Like anytime you're running into this or that, go check the course first and review the
Yeah.
section. And then the second thing is make sure you get in the Facebook group and utilize that.
Yeah, definitely. I've already, it's already been on my mind. I've already, because I didn't have a Facebook. I canceled it a long time ago. So I
Amen.
started a new one, tried to do the business page, and then I basically got locked out of my account. So I've been trying to join the group. So I'll
Cool.
eventually get in there somehow, some way.
Yeah, that'll be it, man. I mean, that's, you know, because really the name of the game is you're not getting in this business for the results you produce this year. Although, you know, I think 300 grand in sales and 100 to 120,000 in profit is probably what's very reasonable for you to do this year.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And that's a good first year. And then second year, you're aiming for somewhere between 500,000 and $1 million, depending on how effectively you can bring on team members. And that's in the team building course. I don't know which one you got, but you know,
Yeah,
following the course is what works. And then the second thing is anything that's not answered there, just bring to the Facebook group. And dude, there's just so much opportunity in this business. It's insane. And
yeah,
so
no,
do that. And remember that like this year, like 300K making 100 grand is great. You know, next year doing 500,000 and making 150, that's great. The next year doing $1 million and making 200 grand, 250 grand, that's great. But the real value is when you get to a point where you have really figured out how to market, how to sell, how to produce, and how to add team members. Because when you can do that, you can start scaling your business where it's like, you know, you do 3 million and make 650 grand. That's like more money than you make in the first 3 or 4 years combined. It's about building and developing your skill set. You're a young guy. You've got lots of opportunities. So I think the persistence and the patience is what will pay off more than anything else. And just taking your time, doing it right, putting in your time, learning, being willing to fail, being willing to get your ass kicked. And when you do, come use the group that we have to, you know, figure those, you know, get out of the rut, you know, solve the problems and learn from them faster. And hopefully you can learn from some other people's issues faster too. Certainly you're
that's the goal, man. Definitely don't want to learn everything on your own. So
yeah.
nah, awesome, man. I really appreciate, you know, taking out the time to speak with me. And yeah, I definitely took a lot away from it. I finally understand the workers' comp thing. I'm gonna get that set up and, you know, just work on this production game and just try to keep going out there, getting leads, try different avenues, try to perfect the sales process and so forth. So
one other quick thing that'll help too is just to keep in mind that I said 300 grand, make 100, 120. That means you're aiming for like 30 to 35% margins. Your marketing costs should not be more than 10%.
Yeah.
There really are, you know, workers' comp's like 2. So what I'm basically saying is you can afford to pay 60% to subs right now.
Yeah.
So do it. Don't be worried about that. So sometimes it's easier to pay, you know, charge customers your sales is fine. There's room to improve for sure. But, you know, because you can get up to about 50% sales rate. Like our sales team is selling about like that now. So we're selling like over $2,000 per estimate right now. I think our 3 sales guys right now, we're at like 90 to 100,000 this week.
Nice.
So we can get that up, but your sales is probably fine. I wouldn't necessarily start lowering prices, but that's something people can do. Is like early on, normally you bid it for 3 grand, bid it for 27. Normally you'd pay out 1,500 is the goal, pay out 1,600. You know, making $1,100 on a $2,700 job is fine at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then you start wiggling prices up and you start wiggling contractors down as you start to have more confidence and know your value and all that stuff better. So don't, you know, I think it's better to overpay and slowly bring that down and bring prices up a little than to try to squeeze people and create problems and all that stuff. You know, you want quality guys and you might have to charge more to do that. And you just need to improve your sales process to do that, but it'll result in more referrals, more word of mouth, and delivering a better experience to people. That's what's ultimately going to up the game for, you know, just everybody. So
yeah, no, I agree. Definitely, you know, I did discount some of the pricing, but I've been using like top-notch paint. You know, I've been using like Duration, and that kind of Emerald. So, you know, I've kind of, my jobs are going to be a little bit more expensive, but that, you know, that's the brand I want to build. I want to be that top guy. I'm not trying to be the cheap guy. I'd rather do 3 paint jobs to do what, you know, and other people are doing, you know, 5 to get the same revenue. You know?
Yeah, no, that's good. It's good. Cool. Awesome, Todd. Onward, my man. Keep kicking ass.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate your time, Eric. It was nice talking to you.
Have a great day,
man.
Bye.
Bye.